into Odegaard, who could then get it into the Saka or Lacazette, not scoring. It was a very tough game for Arsenal to have. The two of them, Palace and the Brighton game. But, it was a tough one. But it's where Arsenal are at the moment. If you can't score goals, you're going to give teams the confidence to continue to go at you, and that's what Brighton did.
Right. I mean, do you think then that brings in that this whole thing about Aubameyang? Because us in the print media, we will, when we assess it at the end of the season, we will look back at that decision if they fail to get into the top four and say, you sold a guy who scores goals. Mm-hmm. You might say that there was a problem, but as a manager, it's your job to manage that situation. You look at that graphic, yes, they've shared the goals around, but in the last few games, they haven't scored enough goals to be able to shoot or to maintain the position that they had, which was a position of control in the race for the top four.
I think that the Aubameyang situation, and obviously him scoring these 10 goals in 14 at Barcelona, it's not great reading, I suppose, for Arsenal fans, but playing a totally different way. He's playing in a system at Barcelona where he is just activated. There's space behind. People are actually looking for him. There's chances being created. That wasn't happening at Arsenal, and I think that what we're seeing with Arsenal is the same thing. The way that Mikel wants to play through the back, through the midfield, and inverted wingers, Lacazette coming short, trying to build play, people are starting to work that out a little bit, and so it's up to the players to obviously still play how they're playing. They have to play better because teams are going to try and stop you, but at the moment, that's not happening. We're not able to create and make enough chances and take a half chance, whereas then, like we did against Villa, you take a half chance and then you sit back, you're able to defend it. That's not happening for us at the moment. So it's very tough. I think the fourth place position has been one that when you watch it and watch what we're capable of, I think we're the lowest goal scorers in that top five. It's not sustainable. And then you lose a Tomiyasu, Partey and Tierney. You can't sustain that with missing those kind of players.
On Aubameyang, is it just to kind of to wrap that up, is it a mistake to sell him, or is it just that he didn't fit at Arsenal, the relationship had become sour, and that he does fit at Barcelona and he's happy there? Can it all be true?
I think it's probably a bit of both in the end. It's a shame that it's come to that because he is a great goal scorer and he's showing that. The way Arsenal played, obviously it didn't work for him, especially how Mikel wants to play now. It didn't work for him. So I think in the end it was best for both parties for them to move on. It's very tough to see a goal scorer that you've had go somewhere else and score goals when your team is not scoring goals, but at the same time the manager's made a decision and you have to back that decision. But then if that decision's been made, you're hoping that people step up to then fill that void, and it's not happened at the moment.
But that could have been fixed by having a player lined up. Normally, if you have a transfer policy that's working as it should, if one player's going and it's going to be a big loss in terms of goals, you have somebody lined up to do that. Do you think the reason they didn't bring anyone in is because they thought they had that available in the squad?
Maybe, Kels, because it was always going to be tough. You're thinking, is Eddie Nketiah going to step up? Maybe Gabriel Martinelli. We know that he's capable of scoring goals. Did he put too much of a burden on maybe them to maybe get through and come in and score goals? I think Gabriel Martinelli's done it. I think when he's played, he's been very dangerous. I think Saka's done it. Emil Smith-Rowe's trying to get himself back in as a regular. I think that he's shown that he can do it. But unfortunately, at the moment, we cannot get goals from Lacazette. I think he's got 4 goals. 2 of those are penalties, and that's not going to help in this current climate. So the way we're trying to create chances and the fact that we're not taking half chances, even when we do get those, is always going to be a problem for us. And I said at the start of the season, if we can finish anything better than 8th, then it's progress. Being in 4th for so long, I think to a certain extent, some of the other teams, you see Man United are not doing what they should be doing. We know with that squad of players, they should be doing a lot better. Tottenham now, off the back of their signings, they're starting to get it now. You're seeing it with Tottenham, and they're rightly in 4th at the moment because they can score. And Arsenal is always going to be tough, not being able to score the goals at the rate that you need to score them at. And that's why I was always a little bit like, I feel like I've got another 10 miles to go. I've only got 6 miles of petrol. It's not going to quite get there. But at the same time, if we can finish in 6th, we have to take that as a good season. Have to.
Yeah. In terms of the way that they've sort of slipped away, because it felt for a long time we were saying Arsenal are in pole position. They had the games in hand. They still got one game in hand, but they had the games in hand. It felt as though the momentum was behind them. It felt as though results were going to go this way. Then you look to this week, which could be defining for them. They've got Southampton, Chelsea in midweek, Manchester United at the weekend, and then it's West Ham after that. That could be, even before they get to the North London derby, that could be the defining period for their season.
Yeah, I think so. You know, Southampton is an interesting game because they've been on a terrible run as of late. But you look at the Chelsea game; they've been in brilliant form. Manchester United, anything could happen in that game, so there's no guarantees there. West Ham is fighting on all fronts as well. Leeds, that's a tough game. Spurs, look, all of them are really, really difficult. And for a team that doesn't really score many goals, as Wrighty was saying there, that doesn't fill me with very much confidence. If I was an Arsenal fan, if I was watching Arsenal, I'd say, right, where are we picking up points? I'm not entirely sure we're going to get over 10 points out of all of those games. And I know it's a big shout, but all of those teams in there are fighting for something. You know, top 4 positions. Chelsea are firmly in the 3rd place. Newcastle have turned a brilliant corner. They're playing really, really well. Good football at the moment. So, you know, you would have to say, I can't see Arsenal finishing 4th. So anywhere above 7th position from an Arsenal angle would have to be seen as definitely as a positive.
Yeah, how much is this not operating in the transfer window cost them, do you think?
Massively, because they've got to let a lot of players go. And if you're going to do that, you've got to bring at least some players in. If you look at Spurs, they brought Kulusevski and Bentancur in. Even though they let 4 players out, at least they had 2 players with whom Conte could actually start to reshape his side. Arteta will look back and look at a lot of mistakes that he made in the January transfer window. The handling of Aubameyang. I remember when Harry Redknapp at Spurs was trying to get into the top 4 and there were lots of fringe players who were not happy, but he kept them on side so that when he had injuries at the back end of the season, he was able to rely on those players. With Aubameyang, he literally threw him overboard. You look at the other players as well. Kolasinac could have played at left back. No Tierney at the moment. You've got Ainsley Maitland-Niles that he could have kept on side. Callum Chambers can play centre-half or full-back. You know, these are players that were either allowed to go away on free or to go and help other clubs. And Mari, for example, says he doesn't want to come back, you know, because of the way that he feels he was treated at the club. So I think Arteta will look at his handling of some of those players and use it as a learning curve for going forward. But I look at that graphic there. I don't think it's a big call at all to say that Arsenal won't finish in the top 4. Not only are they not scoring enough goals, but they've conceded 5 now in their last 2 matches, so they're not even secure at the back. At the weekend, they lost to a team whose one of their best defenders they took for £50 million. You should be going there and beating them, or staying at home and beating them even. But I think as far as Spurs are concerned, I don't think it would be hyperbole to say that I think they could win every game, Liverpool included. And the reason why I think that's a big call, on the one hand, is that Antonio Conte has shown himself to be an outstanding coach. And I think if he gets him into top 4 from where they were, it's up there with anything he's done in his career. I looked at that squad at the start of the season, I thought there were probably only 3 or 4, and it was a widely held belief. They were a shambles. But it's been a coaching masterclass where he's got them organised and focused. Harry Kane, 8 goals in his last 12 games in all competitions. Son Heung-min, 17 goals so far this season, only 3 behind Mo Salah. Defensively, they look so solid, so strong, so focused.
Oh my God, what a player that guy is.
Footballer. That fixture list there, West Ham don't have the squad. United have got the most resources, but the least heart and organisation and team ethic, team spirit. That is 4th place now for Spurs, and they can only throw it away. I don't think they will from here.
So Spurs have added, the players they've brought in have taken them to another level, exactly what they needed to do in the transfer window. And we talked about how Arsenal didn't do that. They didn't go and get players that they might have needed. If there were players within the squad who could step up to the mark, have they done it, do you think?
No, I don't think they have. I think that when you look at the goal-scoring frailties that we've had, even when Aubameyang was there, him and Lacazette were very patchy in their goal-scoring form. Eddie Nketiah, we all thought that might have been the one to maybe step in. I think that he's had opportunities to come on and make changes in games. I've not really seen it. We've seen Florian Balogun go out on loan to Middlesbrough after signing a 5-year deal. You're thinking, is he somebody that maybe could have thrown in and maybe could he have a chance? Because as a striker, you come in, you do a little, you nick a couple of goals, all of a sudden things change for you. And this is what I was very surprised, maybe with Eddie Nketiah. I thought that he might have grabbed that nettle and really gone with it, because it's very, me and Jermaine was talking in the green room about being a striker and seeing the main strikers struggle, and you're thinking, I just want a chance to go on there. And every time I've seen him come on and I've not seen enough hunger and drive and determination to get that goal to make the manager say, yeah, I can put my marker on you. Now, there's rumours that he's going to leave, or he might want to leave or anything, but it's still an opportunity to maybe show what you have got and what you're capable of, because there was an opportunity for that to happen for me at Arsenal. And you look at Arsenal now, struggling to score goals. He's a striker. I'm not even sure how many goals Eddie's got this season. I don't think he'll have 10 goals this season. And that is what you need from a young striker trying to get into the team. And we've not seen that.
Yeah, it's been interesting to watch the way that he's kind of gone up to that. Because even if he is looking to move away at the end of the season, even if that is the case, there's still an argument there to play at the very top of your game, whether it's for your career at Arsenal or for your career if you want it to be elsewhere.
Look, Eddie Nketiah is in an unbelievable position, and he's had incredible opportunity to become Arsenal's #1 striker. You know, I don't know any other players that would have been in that position. Like, if I was in that situation now, I'll be honest with you, I'm biting hands off. I am chomping at the bit to make sure that Mikel Arteta does not drop me. He's not got a reason or an excuse not to play me. I'm running through brick walls. I'm doing absolutely any and everything I can do. If I'm not scoring goals, I'm going to be creating something. If I'm not creating something, I'm going to be working so hard that he says, there's no way I can leave him out. There's no way. I've not seen that from Eddie. Eddie came out on loan to Leeds a couple of seasons ago, and when he had the opportunity to play, he was brilliant. Brilliant, showed energy, showed enthusiasm, was really good in front of goal, clinical. Went back to Arsenal. He did well when he was given the opportunity to, but he didn't blow me away. It wasn't what I'd been used to seeing. And I know it's a different league, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't mean that the work rate has to change. The work ethic just wasn't quite there. And then this season, when Aubameyang's off form and Laka's off form, I'm looking at him thinking, this is your chance. Yeah. It's your chance. The door is wide open. All you have to do is step through it, kick the door down, and do your job.
Well, I was making the point about Harry Kane when Southampton and Aubameyang were not scoring goals under Pochettino, and Harry Kane seized the opportunity, scored goals in the Europa League. He was put into the Premier League side, scored goals for fun. Yeah. The fans took him to their hearts, because when you're not scoring goals, as you both know,
well, what are you trying to say?
Working hard.
when strikers think you played with, weren't scoring goals.
But if you work hard, the fans appreciate you, and they back you, and they get behind you, and that's, I'm sure, what Arsenal fans would have done with Eddie Nketiah had he shown that willingness to work hard. But sadly,
saying that as well, you have to say again, trying to create chances in that team is tough.
If it's hard for Aubameyang, who's gone and got, 10 and 14 at Barcelona, if it's hard for Aubameyang to score in that Arsenal side, then it's going to be hard for a young, developing striker.
Yeah, but when you looked at Eddie's goals, even when he went on loan to Leeds, and when you watch his goals at Arsenal, he's in the box. Yeah. He's a box goals. And Arsenal create stuff. They get to the line, they come back.
Go back to what you were saying earlier when you were talking about at Barcelona, Aubameyang, the side is constructed for Aubameyang to score goals. Whereas when he was at Arsenal, he's playing on the left, he's tracking back. I mean, he's nowhere near the position of maximum opportunity, if you like.
It's like when if you looked at his goals for Dortmund, everything, he's in the box, ready to go, balls are coming across, he's getting there near post, seen him score some beautiful goals for Barcelona, doing that stuff what I thought that he stopped doing, getting to the near post, making darting moves, finishing great chances. You think to yourself, all it takes really is a manager to play to your strengths, and that's what we could never doubt with Aubameyang. If you put the ball in there and get that ball to his strengths, he's going to score. And you're hoping with Eddie, and with the way I've seen Eddie as a fox in a box striker. If they could get then he would score. But it just doesn't seem to be happening with how Mikel wants them to play at the moment, coming deep with Lacazette, linking play, like I'm talking about inverted wingers going in, Emile Smith-Rowe, Gabriel Martinelli or Saka. And it just seems like people have kind of worked that out a little bit. And so it's tough. So players have to play better or they're going to have to change something. I don't know what's going to have to happen there because it's worrying. It is worrying.
It is worrying. That's all sort of in their hands to a certain extent, Arsenal, is getting the best out of the squad and the players that they have available. It's in their own hands what they choose to do in the transfer window to an extent as well. But they have had injuries as well, which is something that can't really be controlled.
Which, when you look at, like I mentioned, Tomiyasu, Partey, Kieran Tierney, 3 major players in what Mikel Arteta wants to do. You know, Kieran Tierney up the left, Tomiyasu on the right. And we've seen, since Tomiyasu's not been playing, how much the right-hand side has cost us in respect of no creation. Partey's just started to get himself going, getting that ball, playing that ball through into Ødegaard. And so what I saw against Palace, obviously he was coming off of fasting and stuff like that, but Palace they really smothered him. They stopped him getting the ball, stopped him getting it to Ødegaard. Arsenal couldn't get themselves going, and to a certain extent I saw Brighton do the same with Ødegaard. And then it doesn't help to see Xhaka playing left back, but at the same time he's trying to work with what he's got. And what we've got at the moment is a team that's trying to play out from the back with the goalkeeper through the midfield and it's just not working at the moment, and he needs to find a way of getting it to work again. He needs to get the confidence back in the players, because there's a phase in the season, there's a time in the season where it was working because they were playing well doing it. So even when teams were closing them down, they were still getting the ball, they were still trying stuff and making things happen, because that's what you have to do. But then when the pressure comes on, you stop showing, you stop doing these things because you're afraid to give the ball away, the crowd might be on your back, so it starts to feed into that.
Losing that confidence.
Yeah, it starts to feed into that. And so, remember, we can't forget that it's the youngest squad as well in the league, and that can have inconsistencies with it. So there's a lot that this squad's going to have to learn very quickly. And so that's why I'm saying I just hope everybody has a bit more patience, the Arsenal fans, and they can get through this.
Do you think they will go in the transfer window in the summer?
Oh, absolutely. I think they're going to have to, because what they've seen is that if this team is capable of sustaining some kind of run, if you've got the right kind of players and playing well enough, but you do need good players to help you do that. You need to be able to keep that going. I think it's imperative that he goes into the transfer market, simply because it cannot be sustained with the squad he's got right now. And we're seeing that, especially when injuries happen.
And all of which is happening at a time where Tottenham really seem to have found their stride in the race to finish inside the top 4. That's where they find themselves at the moment. And, of course, Arsenal have a game in hand. In 2022, they're only behind Liverpool in terms of points taken from their game. And they have played 14 games in that time, which sort of slightly skews the table a little bit. But it's still an incredible record that they've had since in the turn of the year. And that's significant for Arsenal as well, is that not only are they slipping back a bit, but it's Tottenham who are hot on their tails.
It will hurt them so much that it's Tottenham. And, of course, Tottenham have got the chance to really drive a final nail in the coffin if they were to beat them when they play in the North London derby. I think Conte is pulling off one of the performances of the season. Honestly, I think at Man United, they'll be embarrassed. He was right there. You could have got him, and they didn't. I think he makes Ten Hag's job even harder, because Ten Hag then has to come in and basically do what for Man United, what Conte has done for a shambolic Spurs team. I think look, if you think about Ten Hag, and I'll just rub the two in if that's okay. Marcus Rashford's season isn't what we expected it to be. He scored 5 goals so far this season. Very much in the same vein as Harry Kane's first half of the season. But you look at Kane now. Kane scored 8 goals in his last 12. I think he's only 8 off the top scorer, who's Mo Salah. And he's flying. Son is flying. The defence, Ben Davies and Eric Dyer alongside Romero. You looked at that Spurs side a couple of weeks ago and thought to yourself, he's going to perform major surgery in the summer. He has improved players. He's coached Emerson Royale to look better. Matt Doherty, who looked like he was outside. You know what he said, didn't he? He was under Mourinho. He was on the bus for a Europa League game. Didn't want to get off. Thought that was it. He was done. He has done such a fantastic coaching job, in stark contrast to what's happened at Man United, that honestly, he has had the last laugh in a massive way. And I think for Daniel Levy, he has lucked out on the fact that Man United have turned their nose up at one of the elite coaches in European football.
And what's been particularly impressive in terms of the coaching job that he's done at Spurs is that he's come in the middle of the season and done it. He's referred to he's praised himself here.
Surely not.
Sometimes managers feel like they're the only ones who are going to talk them up, but we are talking up Antonio Conte and saying that, you know, coming in November and being able to coach alongside having to get 3 points in games immediately is difficult because you're trying to change and at the same time improve what exists.
Yeah, he went into Spurs and he had to try and change the whole culture. He had to change the mentality of the players. He had to change the style of play, how they played. And there were some players that were out in the cold that got brought back in, and they've been unbelievable. You touched on a few of the names there, and Doherty's he's probably the one that stands out to me the most, because when he first signed, I thought, you know what, he's a pretty good signing, pretty solid signing from Wolves. He'll do a job. He didn't look comfortable at all. He just looked like he was completely out of his depth. Now, up until the point of his injury, he was comfortable. He looked really good. He was going forwards with determination and desire. He was getting back and defending. He looked half decent. So for a manager like Conte to come in and change all of that stuff, on top of keeping the players fit, keeping the players driven, keeping the players hungry, fringe players, as you touched on earlier, vital. And he's done it in such style as well. With games to go, they look solid. And I'm sorry, Righty, I'm sorry, but I feel like they are going to steal the top 4 spot. I really do.
No, you don't need to apologise about that. The fact is that we've seen Arsenal's frailties, whereas Tottenham are totally the other side of the spectrum in respect to they can't stop scoring. They're solid at the back. You know, you mentioned Doherty. You have to mention Emerson Royale because, like,
oh my word, wow! I
was thinking when he first, I think really you got rid of Kyle Walker-Peters and that this is the guy you're bringing in after Aurier and Pink. But like now, like you've mentioned, Darren, the coaching what he's giving that team is amazing. Romero is being fantastic.
Yeah,
we've seen Kulusevski hit the ground running. You know what I mean? And Bentancur, you know, we saw what he's capable of. But like for him to be able to change Harry. It's the start of this season that Harry Kane's mind was mush. He didn't know where he was. He didn't know what was going on. For him to turn it round, to play like he's playing now, and, you know, 8 goals in 12, whatever it is, to finish the season like they are, Kels, it's unbelievable testament to him and his manager.
Do you think that their futures are linked now, Kane and Conte, in terms of what happens at Tottenham?
I think so, yeah.
If they finish in the Champions League, I think so.
I think even if they don't,
I think he stays. I think Harry Kane stays now.
He is working for a manager he has total faith in and belief in. I think Man United don't get him because Man United are in a state of flux. I think City go in a different direction.
Somewhere else now.
I just think I remember writing in after Mura when he said, "Look, I'm not a magician." And I remember after they beat Newcastle.
Was that when he had one of the worst sides he's ever coached, as opposed to after one of the games where he's had the best side he's ever coached? I know. I love it.
I love that about Conte.
I'm here for the drama.
That was after he had 5 months with them, and I remember writing in the match report, he said back then he wasn't a magician. He's a cross between Penn and Teller, David Blaine, Paul Daniels.
They're just going to put Conte in a little glass box hanging over the middle of that stadium.
It's amazing. It's an amazing job he's done.
Yeah.
And I have to go with Darren when he said Levy, he has lucked out. He's lucked out with this manager. And Man United, you know, you have to say, for whatever people say about how he coaches, they've missed out on.
But the Kane and Conte link is going to be really interesting because what it feels at Spurs that their futures are very much intertwined. But if they both stay, then Tottenham have got a really good chance to push on next season again.
You know, listen, Tottenham are going to have to do unbelievable stuff to catch what City and Liverpool are doing in respects of squads and achievement. But, like, if there's a manager that's going to help them to do that, then it will be Conte.
And Conte has this reputation, of being a short-term manager. And yet there have been circumstances around that. It doesn't necessarily, just because he has a year left on his contract, doesn't mean that is always the way he'll want it to go.
Spot on. I think there are reasons. At Juventus, he left to go to the Italian national team. At Chelsea, he fell out with the club. But that was only because they didn't bring in the players he wanted, one of whom was Kane. So he's had a long-standing interest in Harry Kane. And when you're a player and you see what a manager can do with an average squad, just imagine what he could do if he gets the players in that he wants. So in the summer, Spurs and the ownership have got a chance to decide what kind of club they want to be.
We've been here before with Tottenham, haven't we? Under Mauricio Pochettino.
Not with Conte,
but not with Conte, going into the negotiating room.
It's frightening. It's frightening for the moment with what Spurs could do with this manager and Harry Kane and Son.
It's amazing how things work out. Yeah. Harry Kane at the start of this season thinking, I've missed out on the chance of silverware, possibly the only chance I'll get with my country. I've missed out on the chance to go to Manchester City and win trophies with them. And I'm now at Spurs. It could be that he goes on to win trophies at Tottenham, which in his dream would have been the ideal scenario. That might happen. It might not. We will be here to follow it all. Thank you very much, though, to Darren and Jermaine for joining us. Big game in Europe this evening for West Ham. And, of course, the Premier League is back this weekend. And then Manchester City and Liverpool face each other in an FA Cup semi-final. Could that knock on to the rest of the Premier League season? Who knows? We'll see you next week. Bye.